Hello everyone and welcome back to the Zombies ranking series where we take a look back at every single Zombies map ever made. Today we will be looking at the grand finale of the first ever non-Treyarch Zombies game, that being Descent from Advanced Warfare's Exo Zombies. Descent is the culmination of every map that came before it, throwing in some of the stuff that works and more old mechanics that don't work. Descent really contains some of the most baffling design decisions of the entire mode so far. Are all of these decisions misses? No, I don't particularly think so. More, I find a lot of these decisions to be confusing. Like a lot of Exo Zombies evolution. We have a lot to talk about, so let's not waste any time and just get straight into it. If you haven't seen the rest of the series or a particular map you're interested in, feel free to check the playlist in the description or the top right corner of the video now. Descent is probably the first map in Advanced Warfare Zombies that I ended up really liking from an aesthetic point of view. I know I said in the Outbreak episode that I didn't dislike that map's aesthetic, but comparing the two, it's evident that they took more risks with Descent. And I just think it pays off better here than it did in Outbreak. Descent is probably the most brave and creative map that the team at Sledgehammer Games have gotten with the design of a map, aesthetics wise. The underwater retreat mall/spa is something that Sledgehammer even beat Treyarch to. Fans of the mode have been asking for an Atlantis map for a while at this stage. And who is here to give us the closest thing to that? None other than Sledgehammer with Descent in Exo Zombies. This map feels more vibrant than the others in this game, with popping colours and fancy rooms. I'm a massive fan of how this map looks. Now, the layout on the other hand, very basic. This is the closest definition to the basic loop format that I can get to be honest. This reminds me of mostly of the layout of Shinonuma, except even more basic. We have the inner loop, and off of that we have two rooms on both sides. This is where it differs from Shinonuma. That map contains branching paths off of the main core loop, whereas this map we only have two rooms, not even paths, just rooms that branch off from the main loop that then loop back into the main loop. It's baffling. While it's not the biggest deal, I do feel like the maps on this game really did lack in layout experimentation. Thankfully they've learned from their outings in Outbreak, and this map is absolutely high enough for the player to use the exosuit while also being narrow enough to maintain a challenge for the player. I'd argue this map and Carrier actually both really nailed this balance quite well. There is survivable areas on this map, but I do have to say that no area in particular stood out to me enough to warrant a mention for that. Actually, side note, the spa is really good. I actually would like to mention the spa is a great area to train. I think I really enjoyed playing in the spa. Overall, the aesthetics of this map are really good with this sleek modern design and the cool setting. But the map's actual design and flow does need some looking at and is majorly disappointing for such a cool concept. Now real quick, if you've been enjoying the video so far, just a quick reminder to leave a like and subscribe if you want to keep up to date with the series. Right, let's go on to the new features. This map has less new features overall, especially when compared to the release of Carrier. A lot of the good features that Carrier introduced also just outright failed to come back on this map, which is quite disappointing. There was no Plinko machine, there was no weapon disposal system, and none of the fun has been brought forward. It really is unfortunate, as it made a massive difference to Carrier and helped that map do really well on the ranking compared to the other Exo Zombies maps. Okay, so we don't have that much new, but what did they add to their final big outing? Well, we have a brand new supply drop air package reward, being the Goliath suit, which is basically Advanced Warfare's iteration of the mutant injection, except it was done years before Black Ops 6 even messed with it. I absolutely love this edition, and it does just go to show that stuff has been improving throughout the game's life cycle. We've gone from turrets to basically a mutant mangler injection. It's fantastic. New supply drop upgrades have been added in every map, and it really feels like this is the final form of the idea, and I really like it overall. We have some new weapons as well. Last map we had a usable wonder weapon for the first time in the history of the mode. Did Descent keep that going? Yes, it did. We got a brand new wonder weapon, the Wait, that's not the wonder weapon? The Trident? What the hell is the Trident? Okay, unfunny bit aside. Yeah, we have the Trident here. Has anyone ever actually used the Trident? Well, I use the Trident in the gameplay, but it's not great. It's one of the worst wonder weapons of all time. It has some potential as its damage isn't awful, but it's just too unpredictable to use in the higher rounds. The Trident shoots this like energy beam that bounces off the walls, killing any zombies it touches. A cool concept, but just overall a bad feeling wonder weapon. Now, the blunderbuss, as I briefly mentioned before, is the other new weapon added with this map, and the only reason I am bringing it up is because it is the real wonder weapon of this map. This shotgun is insanely powerful and it hits like a truck. It shoots one shot at a time, but this shot can take out a horde of zombies instantly. It is really, really impressive stuff. Honestly, this is one of the most notable DLC weapons in Zombies history, so much so that people can genuinely see it as this map's wonder weapon. Now, moving on to the final big new feature that I want to talk about, and this deserves its own section because it's that massive of a feature, is the boss fight. So, the new boss fight, while impressive in a technical sense, is in fact one of the worst additions to Advanced Warfare's Exo Zombies mode. The reason I consider this a disastrous addition to the game is simple. The boss fight is mandatory. It's split over the course of 3 interactions with Oz, once at round 7, once at round 13, and finally at around round 20. I'm not sure the exact round. These fights get harder and more complex each time you visit the big man. The main issue here is that these fights are entirely luck based. What do I mean by this? Well, I have had 2 experiences ever reaching this boss fight. One, when I had a really bad weapon luck in the box, which makes this fight living hell. And then this time I played, I got not only the wonder weapon and the trident, but also I did get the blunderbuss as well, turning the boss fight into a trivial joke. Now, I can already hear you typing out your comments. That's the fun of zombies, the randomness, the luck, all of that combined. And I would agree with you, oh imaginary commenter mine, but there is one exception with this map. The little detail that these boss fights are mandatory and have set rounds that they spawn in on. You could get absolutely shafted by the game and just not get anything good, have no perks, and that will make these boss fights near impossible. The solution, I think? Make the boss fights optional for the players to engage with if they choose. The rewards make it worthwhile. People would engage with this boss fight, and I understand it from Sledgehammer's point of view. They put a lot of dev time into the boss fight. They want people to play it. But making it mandatory was just not the way to go, and I think an optional mode would have made it so much better. Now, I want to look a little bit closer into how these boss fights actually work. The first time you get teleported in, you don't actually have to do much. Oz teleports you, throws around some lasers and some funny quips, and then you get teleported out. This is simply to introduce you to the fight and tease its mechanics with the lasers. The second time, Oz is locked behind these giant glass walls. When you spawn in, you have to defeat turrets, zombies, and avoid gas electrified floors for a little bit. When you do this, the glass panels lift up, allowing the player to shoot and damage Oz. Rinse and repeat this stage 4 times with the mechanics, all kind of combining towards the end where you have the gas, the electricity, and the turrets that you have to deal with, and then eventually you'll just blow him up and he'll disappear and you'll get teleported back. You'll get a load of points for doing this as well. It is really, you get rewarded, like you get decent rewards. The third time you have to defeat Oz, he is now a mutated monster. This part of the fight is actually easier than the initial 2 stages. This fight reflects a typical boss fight from a game like Destiny more than the previous encounter. There are 4 power boxes located around the arena, and when you activate them, the decontamination pad in the middle of the arena is now usable. Bring Oz over to it, activate it to bring down his shield, and just damage him. Then you have to rinse and repeat that 4 times. They also add the same electrified floor, gas, and turrets, and each phase you have to kill them and the zombies in order to defeat Oz, but it's very simple, very easy, very fun as well. I actually really like this encounter. Overall, I do love the actual boss fight itself. I just simply wish that the player would have been given the option to enter it when they choose to. I also want to give the major props to Advanced Warfare for adding something we've kind of taken advantage of in the mode today. Adding a proper boss fight to zombies was unheard of before Descent, and I actually think it deserves major credit for this. So, story and Easter egg is next. Advanced Warfare is also responsible for the introduction of one of my favorite Easter egg formats, as this map introduces the challenge/trial format of Easter egg. This map's Easter egg involves our characters solving a plethora of challenges given to us by our almighty savior Oz the Great. These challenges range from some kind of mid to incredibly fun challenges, from a round of infinite grenades to a round where we just get rocket launcher kills, to a parkour challenge. This Easter egg is majorly unique from anything that's come before it, and honestly it lays the foundation for a less puzzle orientated Easter eggs to come into the light in the future. More challenge space Easter eggs, which are the Easter eggs I kind of enjoy more than the puzzle ones. The puzzle ones also have a place. I think a mix is important, but the additions here cannot be understated. We also have friendlier AI added to help in certain steps, particularly the last one if the player is playing on solo, which is something that the other zombies modes did not have an answer to until Black Ops 4, which is honestly baffling, especially seeing Sledgehammer do it here in 2015, which is something I didn't even know existed when I first played this map, so that is kind of crazy. The story, on the other hand, is wrapped up fine. The characters all get resolved somewhat neatly, and honestly, the game wraps everything up in a way that is rather satisfying. If you're a fan of the story, unlike the other failed zombies mode that end with a cliffhanger, the ending to Descent, while containing a minor cliffhanger, does close the door on our 4 characters, really leaving only Oz's clones up for debate. Overall, I'm rather satisfied with how the story wraps everything up, and I'm happy to leave this mode and these characters here, but I would also not be opposed to seeing Oz show up again in a potential Exo Zombies 2 should Sledgehammer ever decide to make it. Descent also adds a new form of, I suppose we could say, super Easter egg, with the form of the trophy systems. Depending on the Easter eggs and challenges that you've completed in previous maps, you unlock trophies that are visibly displayed in Descent. I really like this as it rewards the player for their effort and gives the player a nice visual of what they have managed to accomplish within the game. Now this could have gone further, like for example upgrade to the Pack-a-Punch to make it a bit easier, or you automatically have level 25 unlocked without having to do the Easter egg, something like that, but that's not what we got. This is what we get, and I think it's just nice to have something to show for the Easter eggs. Once you complete this final Easter egg, you unlock Double Feature, which is a colorless hardcore mode to the map that is needed to unlock the final trophy in the game. Double Feature is the precursor to what I'd call a hardcore mode. You have a limited HUD, the colors are turned off, all of that. Overall, I have to say I like the inclusion of both, as it is just more content for the player to engage with if they choose to do so. I asked a question in the title of this video asking if Descent saved Exo Zombies, and I think the short answer is no, it didn't. I don't think there was ever really a chance to save a mode that was so fundamentally flawed it would require a full restructure of the core foundations of the mode's mechanics to ever even be considered saved. No, I don't think Descent did save Exo Zombies, but do I think Descent is a bad map? No, I really don't. Descent as a whole was a really interesting package. To explain what I mean, I want you all to look at the gameplay and tell me what you've noticed. There's something different about this map that I can't say what's the same for any of the other maps. I'll give you a second to see if you notice it. If you think you know what it is, leave it in the comments below. Now, if you didn't get it, don't feel bad. It's very subtle. But Descent was the first map on Exo Zombies that I kept playing past round 20. It also marks the first time that I got a gun all the way up to mark 20, which is something I've been wanting to do for the longest time, but I just couldn't motivate myself to do it. Now, why do I bring this up? I hear you ask. Well, dear viewer, it is because of this simple fact. I was having fun. For the first time in this game, while recording footage, I was enjoying myself. I beat Oz, I got the pack 20, I bought all the perks, and I was just enjoying my time surviving on the map, which is the first time I can say that for an Exo Zombies map. Overall, Descent still has some baffling design decisions like the mandatory boss, or the massive increase in enemies throughout the game's life cycle, but I still really enjoyed my time with Descent, and I am happy to say that Advanced Warfare is leaving with at least one W under its belt before we can go on to the next game. I'll be moving Carrier down to the top of C tier, and Descent will be taking its rightful place at the top of B tier, in the only spot that I think suits it. Now really quickly, before we finalise this game, I just want to take a look over the massive amount of enemies that were added throughout this game's life cycle. I won't be naming them all, but I will give a finalised number. We had 14 zombie enemy types throughout the game, and then we had dogs on top of that, which also had variants. This is a crazy amount of enemies for the game, and to be honest, again, props to Sledgehammer for trying something new to spice up the game, even if it didn't always work out. Okay, now if you did enjoy this video, please feel free to leave a like and a comment and subscribe to let me know you're interested in the series. If you want to watch the previous entries, I have the playlist link below. If you want to keep up to date with the channel, turn on the notifications bell and you will always be notified when the next part is out. Okay, next time we are tackling none other than Shadows of Evil. And I am thinking it's going to be a massive episode, it's going to be potentially controversial, so if you're interested, again, I'll hope to see you there. See you guys in Shadows of Evil.